Hi students, and welcome to Monroe's Motivated Sequence, lesson number 1, where we will cover on how to hold a motivational speech. This lesson is, as always, divided into 3 parts, where I began by holding a speech myself called Random Act of Kindness. And this video is going to cover part B, which is the lecture on the structure of creating a speech based on Monroe's Motivated Sequence, or MMS as I've shortened it. And then the third part of this lesson is a repetition part, where you will both look at the theory and some speech examples. As mentioned, I will only cover part B here. If you would like to go back and look at the exercises and the examples, please visit my webpage and navigate to lesson number 1. I'm going to quickly skip through some of these slides, but as always, please remember to take notes. I'm going to skip some of these, but I will stop briefly here covering the success criteria. A successful student will be able to identify Monroe's motivated sequence in speeches in order to improve their listening comprehension. A student will also be able to use MMS and inversion grammar to improve your structure and formality. Thirdly, I want you to be able to speak with a varied, precise, correct vocabulary, and also the same thing for your grammar. And then lastly, I want you to be able to discuss the positives and negatives related to your topic. This is our schedule, which you can, as always, find on Teams and Unicum. And the materials are also available there. I'm just going to briefly mention that you have a few themes you can pick from. You can read about the theory on my webpage, and there are also templates that you need to use for your speech. We'll cover the previous knowledge part here and go straight into the lecture part, part B. During this lecture, I'm going to use some key vocabulary. We are going to speak about persuasion. So persuasion is a kind of speaking or a writing method, or maybe rather a goal, where your intention is to influence people. We are also going to speak about the purpose, which is the goal that you want to achieve with your speech or your text. And also about suspense. So suspense is rather important here, since it will create this feeling of uncertainty in your audience, because we want your audience to be able to be on edge slightly in a nice way. We don't want to be unkind to them, but we do want them to feel like, oh wow, what's going to happen next? We are also going to be talking about transitions, and a transition is either a word or a phrase that you use in order to link your ideas. And also we are going to be speaking about encouragement. And here the idea is that you want to encourage someone to have a sense of hope, or you want to support someone in order for them to achieve whatever you want them to do. And as mentioned earlier, this is supposed to be a motivational speech, so you want to give the audience an energy or a desire that will push them in the direction where you want them to move, because you are going to encourage them and motivate them into action. And lastly, the word we're going to be using is oration, which is a formal situation where you speak publicly. So let's look at Monroe's motivated sequence, shall we? And many of you who've studied English previously, and also other subjects for that matter, you are going to be quite used to the idea of creating a speech or a text based on a rule of 3. And what we used here most commonly will be a introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Monroe's motivated sequence, however, tries to do this slightly differently in order to truly lead you towards success. So in this case, Monroe's motivated sequence 5 steps can be compared to the introduction, body, and the conclusion, but they are named differently since they have different purposes. And these are called the attention step, the need step, satisfaction step, visualization step, and lastly, the action step. And in this case, as I mentioned earlier, the introduction transitions to the body and the body later to the conclusion. While Monroe's made a motivated sequence, you need to build from each step into the other. And this is where your transitions are very important. Your transitions are meant to use one step to move into the other. And this is a key part when you hold a formal speech, when your oration requires that extra push in order to encourage and motivate your listeners. The goal here, as you can see at the very end, where this arrow ends, your goal is to have people act in some way. And you want to be precise here. You want to create a sense of satisfaction where you give an action that will solve whatever problem that you present to the audience. I'm now going to show you a slide for each of these steps, and we're going to look at examples and also talk about what makes them particularly successful. So please take notes on these steps, please. The attention step is meant to create engagement and also to make your listeners even more attentive. And here you are going to be using something known as an attention grabber. And the attention grabber will make your audience alert, and the purpose is that you want to not startle them, but surprise them slightly and gently in order to make them wanting to listen to you. Let's look at a few examples, shall we? You are going to pick from one of these 5 as your attention grabber. You could present shocking facts, you could surprise them with a statement, you could ask them a question, you could quote someone, or you can tell them a story. All of these are great methods that will make your listeners attentive, and they will stay alert because you will do something rather different. It's quite common for speakers to begin their speech by saying, "Hello, this is a speech about blah blah blah," which is okay. It's definitely fine. However, in this case, we want to create an atmosphere where they feel, "Wow, what's going on here? This is very different, isn't it?" And that's why we use one of these attention grabbers. Secondly, you will transition into the need step. And the need step is meant to present the audience with a relatable problem of some kind. And the problem, or as they call it, the need, is something that has to be dealt with. You need to create that sensation of feeling, I definitely agree with whatever the speaker is talking about. And also what the speaker presents as the need that has to be dealt with. Here, you can decide on a topic. We are going to give you 4 themes. We're going to give you 4 themes, and within one of those themes, you can then pick a topic of your own choice. So you have quite a lot of freedom here, but we do want you to pick one to land in one of the 4 themes. The first theme is we need to write letters to strangers about something, something, something. So that is one of the themes you can pick. What you're supposed to write the letters about, however, is your choice. The second theme is be uncomfortable and speak the truth about something else. So here it's all about leaving your comfort zone. Thirdly, it's more of a challenge. This one is called try for 30 days. Whatever they're supposed to try is up to you, but it's important that you want them to challenge themselves. And lastly, leave your comfort zone and believe that you can something, something. This one is quite similar to the second one in the way that it's also about comfort. However, the focus here is on believing in yourself. Here it's all about your inner strength. Let's look at an example, shall we? Here, I chose the theme, writing letters to strangers, and then I chose the topic, loneliness. And I created a need or a problem related to that theme and that topic. And it says, 5,500 Swedes suffer from social withdrawal and extreme loneliness with no one that contacts them. Here we can see that there is a need. A lot of people are having a very rough time indeed, and no one is contacting them. So this is where your letter writing comes into play. We can see here a combination of those two parts, and this can be essentially anything, truly. It's up to you to be creative here, but the themes are set. The third step that you transition into is called the satisfaction step, and the satisfaction acts as the solution to your need. Here we want you to provide your listeners with an encouraging solution. We really do want them to feel motivated, don't we? And this is supposed to be a solution to the need that you presented. And the feeling that you want to leave your audience with is a pleased sensation. You want to feel like, wow, okay, I can actually do this. I'm able to do this, and it will solve this problem that you've posed. Here, I would suggest that you use verbs that emphasize action. In this case, let's look at some active ones. If you tell someone to write, or to try something, or to leave, or such, it is a direct and active action compared to a more passive one. Let's say, for example, contact or consider, and so on. These are more passive, and let me show you an example that will try to exemplify this. Let's look at the left side. These are what I would argue to be more active satisfaction steps. Try eating beetles for 30 days. Okay, try eating beetles. Or you could even say, eat beetles for 30 days. That could be also a good one. Although in this case we use try simply because it connects to the theme I showed you previously. And then if we look at the right side, it says consider eating beetles for 30 days. So try is more active in the way that it actually tells someone to do something. So try it. Here you go, try it. Whereas consider can be like, yeah, let me think about it, maybe no. So considering is more of a thinking situation, and therefore becomes more passive. Let's look at the other example. Here it says, leave your comfort zone and speak up to bullying. Okay, great. This is a good one because it actually tells someone what they're supposed to do. Whenever they see a case of bullying, they are supposed to speak up to it. No, we don't encourage bullying, we don't accept it or anything similar. And on the other hand, and on the other side also, we can see it says, leave your comfort zone and discuss bullying. What do you mean discuss? Discuss is definitely a more passive or weak way of speaking up to something. There's nothing really to discuss here, is it? We're not supposed to be able to discuss anything about bullying. We should end it here and now. And that's an example of how you encourage someone to reach a solution. Next up, we have the visualization step, where you will present the consequences of this need and the entire topic that you're talking about. You are going to envision what will happen once the audience have solved your problem, or in Monroe's motivated sequence terms, when they have satisfied the need. Here, it's important that you present both the negatives and the positives. If they would not follow your instructions, what are the negatives that will happen? But if they do, however, what are the positives that will happen? And here, I have a suggestion that you try to use vocabulary that's related to vision, such as to see, to imagine, to envision, and so on. Here we have two examples. One that says, imagine if you had no one to speak to, you would feel despair. This is the negative part. When someone reaches out to you, a fuzzy and warm feeling will grow inside you. Here we can see that they describe what will happen, the negatives and the positives. Excuse me. And the second example says, gaze into the future. Once you've let go of your ways, you will feel more healthy, in addition to something, something, something. Here it only focuses on the positives, so we would need to add some negatives as well to contrast and really get a discussion going. And finally, we arrive at the action step, which is a call to action, and you want to step by step tell them what to do. And in this case, when you inspire someone, try to be as precise as possible, command them or request of them to do something, because your aim here is to make them to do something with and by their own power. And preferably, you want this step to happen immediately after the speech. You want them to do something. Once they've listened to you, once the applause have rung out, you want them to do something that will solve or satisfy the need that you presented. Let's look at two examples, shall we? The one on the left, I would argue, is far better than the one on the right. And on the left it says, protect others by hugging them. A study at Harvard showed that hugging decreases stress. Try hugging a new person each day for 30 days. And on the right side it says, it is good to be kind. Everyone needs love. Kindness lowers stress. We should try to be kind for 30 days. The one on the left has an action built into it. It's all about hugging people. The other one is about being kind, and being kind is not, it's not bad, to be honest. However, in this case, it just falls a little bit flat in comparison to the far more active version of the action to the left side, on the left side here. So please mind this as well, to be as precise as possible. All right, students, that's it for this recording of the lecture on Monroe's motivated sequence. Please visit my website on www.feke.online for more information and to also find the exercises related to this lesson. Thank you for listening, and see you later.